It is great to see you. You've spent some time here in our fine country, so welcome.
I have spent some time here. I'm enjoying it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you guys here. This is so exciting for our city, and I think also, for the network. Tell us a little bit about your challenges taking a movie into a series with such an iconic Coen Brothers project, and now you're transforming it into something new.
Well, yes, I didn't want to be the guy who ruins the Coen Brothers.
No.
But what was exciting to me was when FX said that they wanted to make a version of the movie, but that they wanted to do it basically without any of the characters from the movie. So the question really was, we want to make a Coen Brothers movie. Are you up to it? Mm-hmm. And, so I, of course, am a huge Coen Brothers fan. But the question became, well, so how is that movie made? What's the structure of it? And on a larger basis, like, how do you make a Coen Brothers movie? Mm-hmm. And the Coen Brothers won't help you. They won't tell you how they do it. Mm-hmm. So you have to figure it out on your own.
Right.
But it's, it was a really fun challenge and really exciting to try to write in that voice and write that region and to capture the same elements that the movie had without relying on any of the elements in the movie.
Mm-hmm. And are you thinking that you've achieved that? Are you happy with what you're seeing?
I am very happy with it. I think that, we're making a 10-hour movie versus a 2-hour movie. And, so there's a larger story than the story that's in the movie, which means other elements come in. There's so tonally, I'm playing around a lot more with, I like to joke we're making No Country for Old Fargo. And, so we have that tension, we have that the suspense from that movie combined with the regional humor and the examination of the polite society. Mm-hmm. that the original movie takes on.
Yeah, that is a lot to take on. The movie had done so well, but then also, as you said, writing in that voice, but also making it your own.
Yeah. Well, and, the conversations that I had with the network very early on were, you can't make a Coen Brothers movie by committee. For better or worse, it has to be a sort of singular voice, which is why I've written all 10 of the episodes, and there is no minor elements. I pick every extra and every face that goes on the screen and work very closely with the actors and the directors and spend a ton of time in the editing room and the bar is so high that I can't be the one who goes under it.
No, you can't. You go to the next level. That's what you do. You raise the stakes. And speaking of which, you have such an amazing cast who all speak very, very highly of you, by the way. I'm sure you know that. I've been working with them for the last, few months. Tell me about casting these roles. And was Billy Bob Thornton your first choice?
No, he was our last choice. No, he was absolutely our first choice for it. The conversations once we had a script was, it feels like a movie. And, it's a complete story that we tell over 10 hours, and we want to cast it like a movie. And there's a difference between casting a movie and casting television, because in television, you're working a lot with day players for roles. And we felt like there were no small roles in this, and we wanted to really cast it like a movie. And what Billy gave us, and he, of course, was our first choice, and we approached him very early on. He legitimized that for us. He sent the signal that he had never done television before. He sent that signal that this is not a television show. And then Martin Freeman signed on, and now we had the two of them, and so the snowball starts to roll, and we signed Colin Hanks to do it. We get Kate Walsh to do it, and Oliver Platt, and Glenn Howerton, and, the list goes on. And suddenly, our phone was ringing as opposed to us reaching out to the actors to try to get them on board. So, that was very exciting. But then, of course, since there are no small roles, we came up to Calgary and we started holding our local auditions. And we've just had the best experience with cast up here and some really terrific, really funny actors who just pop in everything we put them in. So it's been great.
Yeah. The truth is in the details.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you can tell when you're working with experienced actors, and we're trying to compete with HBO on a basic cable budget, and so you know, we have a very short amount of time to make very good work, and you can't be waiting around for people who don't know their lines or can't get to where you need them to get to. And that's the other thing, that having a cast like Billy and Martin and Colin Hanks and Allison Tolman, and you know, you're never waiting on actors, and we move very quickly.
That sounds like a dream come true for an executive producer.
It is a dream come true. No divas, no tantrums, and you know, everyone. I think, you know, there's two kinds of jobs. There's the jobs you do for love and the ones you do for money. And you know, I've always wanted to be the one that you do for love. So I'm glad that the actors say nice things about me. I certainly am. You know, I'm trying to give them my best so that I can get their best.
Yes. Making each other's jobs easy, right? Let's talk about writing and the voice and the comedic edge that the Coen brothers have. Do you write for truth? Do you write for comedy? How do you approach that?
You know, it has to be grounded. I think that it has to work dramatically in order to work comedically. So, you know, the joke can never be at the expense of the moment in a way. I mean, I think some things are sort of more comically imagined than others, but you know, since, like I said, we're making a 10-hour movie, and I think if you went back and watched the original Fargo, it's actually a much more comic movie than you remember. I think what we remember of it is, you know, it's the violence, it's the, you know, the sort of immorality of Bill Macy's character, and it's the dignity of Marge's character, and the end of the movie, you know, where you realize that she's going to go to bed and wake up the next day and go back to life as normal. But it's actually a very comic movie where Marge is used to comic effect a lot. And I felt like if I was as comic as the movie, people would thought I got it wrong. Right. So we're telling larger stories, and you know, we're erring on the side of drama and just playing it as dry as possible. I mean, I talk to all the actors and the directors about, you know, we're not here to embellish what's written comedically or to add comedy to it, you know. And you know, I think the one thing that you never find in a Coen Brothers movie is melodrama. You know, they never manipulate an audience emotionally. And so that's always our challenge is, you know, you have scenes with real emotion in them, but you have to throw them away. You have to play against that. You know, you can't put the sad piano music in. You know, you don't want to do any of that stuff. And it's, you know, it's been a real learning curve, I think, you know, to really sit down and study these movies that they've made and figure out how to make our own.
But that assumes the intelligence of your audience, and in that way, and the buzz around it, and we can't share any spoilers or anything, but I imagine that audiences will be hooked because of that.
Well, I hope so. Certainly what I'd like to do is make something that's unpredictable, and you know, and I think that we have, and you know, you always want an audience to watch and not be ahead of you, and I think that I hope that we've achieved that. But also, I think, you know, they come for the movie, and they have to stay for the show. So,
dare I say season 2?
You know, I mean, what I pitched to FX was, you know, what made the movie great was, as I said at the end of it, you know, Marge gets into bed after seeing this horrific Coen Brothers case. And you realize that when she wakes up tomorrow, it's going to be back to life as normal. So this is the worst case she ever had, and that's why we're watching this. But so I told the network if we made the case of the week version of it, you know, it would be picket fences, or you know, or worse, it'd be Criminal Minds after a while, you know, and she wouldn't be the same person. So my sense of, if we make another 10-hour movie of this, it'll be another movie called Fargo. It'll be about the region, and then it'll be a completely different story, and it could take place in a whole other decade.
Shooting in our region in the Canadian winter, how's that been for you?
You guys have made it nice and cold for me today, aside. I think there was one day we couldn't shoot because it was minus 40. Where I learned things like propane turns to a liquid at minus 40. But I feel like, you know, when the orange road cones shatter, it's time to go home. So, but, you know, we shot outside minus 25 or minus 30, and you know, what's amazing is that it's doable. You just don't necessarily want a guy to run naked from the trunk of a car.
No. No, that's mean.
Yeah, that's true.
That's brutal shooting conditions.